They tell you to be yourself, to be open, to show how much you care. Smile more. Text her when you miss her. Speak your truth. But the more you do that, the colder she gets. The longer you explain, the shorter her replies become. The more you try to fix it, the faster she slips away. So you try harder, softer, kinder, and it gets worse. But here's what nobody told you: the very act of reacting is what destroys your power. Because when you respond emotionally to every flicker of her approval, every curve of her attention, she doesn't feel connection. She feels control. Not her being controlled, but her controlling you. That's why it dies. That's why she pulls away. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to shift from being the man who chases to the man she can't stop chasing. She's sitting across from you in the restaurant, and her phone lights up again. You glance, it's instinct. She sees it, doesn't say a word, just unlocks it casually, scrolls, types a quick response. You freeze. Pretend to sip water. Your chest tightens. You're wondering who it is. You're wondering if she's bored. You're wondering if this is the beginning of the end, and she can feel every drop of it. The tension, the tightness. Your silence isn't strength, it's panic dressed as patience. And deep down, she knows you're not calm. You're collapsing quietly. Because you're reacting. Not with words, but with your whole body. With your energy. With your eyes. You think you're being mysterious. But you're being transparent. Because when a man can't hold his internal state, she feels it. And that's when the game shifts. Not because she's cruel, not because she wants to break you, but because whether she realizes it or not, she's testing for truth. And truth doesn't flinch. Truth doesn't grab. Truth doesn't lean forward when it's not invited. Truth is the man who lets the phone ring, lets her distance settle, lets the silence build and does not blink. You weren't taught this. You were taught to fix, to chase, to smooth it over. You were told if she's upset, you did something wrong. If she's distant, you need to show more love. You learned to react because reacting meant caring. But now it's killing you. Because every time you flinch, you fail the test. The real test. The one she doesn't even know she's giving. And when you fail it enough times, the chase ends. Because she's no longer looking for a partner, she's parenting a panic response. And there's no lust in that. She walks in late. Doesn't explain. Says something vague. You ask if everything's okay. She shrugs. You ask again. She sighs. And you feel it. The pull to say more. To beg a clarity. To close the gap. But in that moment, the less you say, the more power you hold. Not because you're cold, but because you're anchored. Because when a man is truly rooted, he doesn't flail in confusion. He lets the mystery ripen. He doesn't demand answers, he observes behavior. Because he already knows. He doesn't need her to confirm what's obvious. He just watches. And that presence, calm, detached, immovable, is what makes her nervous in the right way. Because it's not control. It's containment. And she starts chasing, not because you're playing games, but because you're done being the pawn. Here's the truth. Every woman you meet will feel something about your silence. It will either make her feel abandoned, or it will make her feel challenged. The difference isn't her. It's your core. If your silence is just fear in disguise, she'll feel it and run. But if your silence is rooted in presence and power, it becomes the very thing that draws her deeper, because she can't manipulate it, can't predict it, can't make it move. And the feminine craves what it cannot move. That's what attraction is. The dance between storm and stillness. She's testing your reaction not because she hates you, but because she hopes you won't fail. You say you want her respect, her loyalty, her admiration. But every time you over-explain, apologize for existing, text too soon, react too fast, you melt in her eyes because it tells her you've made her the center of your world, and she doesn't want that weight. She wants to orbit you, not be worshipped. She wants to see that when she pulls away, you don't chase, you don't collapse, you don't crumble. You breathe, you relax. You keep building your life like nothing changed. And that calm silence, it's not a weapon. It's a mirror. And when she sees herself in it, that's when the chase begins. You think chasing shows love? It doesn't. It shows fear. Fear of loss. Fear of rejection. Fear of the void. But here's what you need to realize when you can sit in that void without needing to be filled. You become terrifying. In the best way, because now you're unpredictable. Now you're not reacting to her, she's reacting to you. Every silence you hold becomes a message. Every pause becomes tension. Every stillness becomes mystery. And she begins to wonder, what is he thinking? Why isn't he folding? Who is this man? That's when she starts chasing, not the man who clings, but the man who disappears into his own gravity. Because the truth is, she doesn't want to be your everything. She wants to be part of a world that doesn't fall apart without her. A world you've built with or without approval. A man who is too full of purpose to flinch. Too disciplined to explain. Too grounded to need her mood to stay steady. You don't win her back by texting good morning. You win her back by becoming the man who doesn't check his phone until noon. And even then, only replies if it serves his peace. That's the paradox. The less you need, the more they chase. The less you speak, the more they listen. The less you react, the more they reveal. She comes back. They always do. Maybe not with a dramatic apology, maybe not with roses or 1,000-word confession, but they always come back when they feel something they can't explain. And the truth is, it's never about what you said. It's about what you didn't. She remembers the man who didn't fold when she pulled away. The man who didn't beg, didn't explode, didn't send a final desperate paragraph at midnight. The one who let the silence speak and never filled it with noise. She doesn't understand it, but she feels it. And it gnaws at her. Because now, for the first time, she's not sure where she stands. And that uncertainty, that vacuum, is the birthplace of her desire. You don't get there by pretending. You get there by enduring. Enduring the silence without making it loud. Enduring the distance without trying to cross it. Enduring the slow fade without chasing into the dark. And most men can't do it because they're addicted to emotional closure, addicted to knowing, addicted to trying. But a man who masters the art of non-reaction isn't cold, he's unavailable to chaos. And that's not a game. That's self-respect. She's crying in front of you now. Maybe she's sorry. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's trying to pull you into another cycle. She'll throw out the bait, I just need to know if you care. And your old self would have grabbed it. Would have spilled your heart. Opened your chest. Bled on the floor just to make her feel safe again. But now, you just breathe. You hear her. You hold her gaze. And you say nothing. Because you've realized no amount of words will fix what silence already revealed. She wasn't waiting for your confession. She was watching for your collapse. You didn't. That's what changed. The most dangerous man isn't loud. He's not screaming his worth. He's not posting cryptic quotes or subtexting heartbreak through Spotify playlists. He's not even interested in convincing anyone. He's done reacting because he knows everything you react to owns you. And no woman wants to be your owner. She wants to feel you, but not command you. She wants presence, not panic. And the only way she'll chase you is if you give her the space to miss you. But you have to understand what happens in that silence. You will feel grief. You will feel confusion. You will feel an almost chemical urge to fix it, explain it, make it right. Your brain will scream, say something. Your fingers will itch to type. Your voice will tremble with unsaid pleas. But that's the exact threshold you have to cross. Because on the other side of not reacting is becoming. Becoming the man who no longer lets her chaos shape his soul. Becoming the man who doesn't derive his worth from how fast she replies. Becoming the man who realizes that every time he doesn't chase, he becomes more of what she actually wants. A man with a spine. A man with silence that speaks louder than seduction. A man with eyes that see through the performance and choose stillness instead. That stillness is the death of the nice guy. The rebirth of the sovereign. Because the truth is, most women have never met a man who could hold tension without needing to solve it. Most women have never had to earn presents. And the moment you stop giving it away for free is the moment she starts wondering how to earn it again. She won't say it. She might even resist it. But underneath all her words, her instinct will whisper, "He's not mine anymore." What happened? And that voice will haunt her. And it doesn't matter if she left you. It doesn't matter if she found someone else. Because none of that matters when your energy is no longer orbiting her emotions. That's the real detachment, not physical, but psychic. When you stop sending invisible signals, when your inner world no longer bends to her storms, when you walk through your day unshaken, focused, fulfilled, without ever needing her to see it, that's when she sees it. You become rare, and rarity breeds obsession. But it's not a strategy. If you're doing it to get her back, it's manipulation and she'll smell it. If you're doing it to punish her, you're still reacting. The power isn't in using silence as a sword, Unkeen. The power is in making silence your home, because that's where she can't reach you. That's where she realizes she doesn't control your center, and that, more than anything, is what ignites her chase. Not because you've tricked her, but because you've transformed. So the next time she pulls away, watch. The next time she gets cold, don't warm her. The next time she says, "We need to talk," don't fill the gap. Let it breathe. Let the air between you stretch. Let her wonder. Let her feel what she never had to before the absence of your reaction. The absence of your need. The presence of your power. That's the shift. That's the secret. That's the silence she chases. You start to notice something strange. The less you reach, the more she circles. The more grounded you become. The more her moods soften. It's subtle at first, a lingering glance. A message out of nowhere. A joke dropped just to see how you'll respond. But the real shift isn't in her. It's in you. You're no longer living for reaction. You're no longer held hostage by her attention. You're no longer treating her behavior like a weather forecast for your mood. Because the less you react, the more she's forced to confront something she's never had to before herself. You used to play the game. The "what did I do wrong" game. The "how do I fix this" game. But now you see it clearly. Not everything she does deserves a response. Not every silence needs to be broken. Not every shift in tone means the world is ending. You let her have her storms. You let her come and go, and she begins to realize you're not afraid to lose her. Not because you don't care, but because you've remembered something deeper. You have you, and that's enough. That's what drives her crazy. Not your detachment, but your centeredness. Because now she's not sure what effect she has on you. And women need to feel effect. It's how they know where they stand. But when you don't give her that, when you sit still in the face of her chaos, when you smile without flinching, when you take a breath instead of biting the bait she has to reach, she has to come towards you. Because that's how polarity works. Masculine stillness draws out feminine movement. You don't push. You don't pull. You become unmoved. And that's the moment she becomes curious again. Not about your favorite color, not about your childhood trauma, but about the you she doesn't know anymore. The you who no longer asks for reassurance. The you who doesn't need constant validation. The you who has something deeper going on behind the eyes, and she'll try to provoke it with silence, with drama, with flirty little tests that once unraveled you. But they don't now. Because now, you see them. And more importantly, you see yourself. You've outgrown the urge to dance for her attention. You've outgrown the fantasy that love means emotional submission. You've outgrown the lie that peace must be sacrificed to keep her happy. You are no longer the man who explains himself to be understood. You are the man who speaks once yet with clarity and lets her sit with it. And if she walks away, you don't chase. Because she's not walking away from a boy who needs her. She's walking away from a man who knows himself. And the deeper truth is, she's not walking away at all. She's creating space to see if you'll break the silence. But you don't. And that silence, it doesn't just echo, it burns. Because now, instead of your love being a faucet she can turn on and off, it's a locked well. And she no longer knows how deep it goes. That's when she starts chasing. Not because you're withholding, but because you're no longer reacting to her shadow. You're responding only to reality, to what's earned, to what's present. No more fantasy, no more pedestal, no more chasing ghosts. You've reclaimed your edge, and in doing so, you've become untouchable, not because you're numb, but because you feel everything and still choose presence over panic. You've stopped apologizing for your standards. You've stopped explaining your silence. You've stopped justifying your value. And now, she's the one doing the math. She's the one remembering the nights you didn't call, the texts you didn't send, the moments you let her walk away and didn't flinch. Not because you stopped loving, but because you stopped abandoning yourself. And that's what she couldn't look away from if she tried. You see her again? Maybe it's weeks later, maybe months. She's dressed just right like she planned it. Her smile is just a second too bright. Her eyes hold something unsurety, and you don't rush. You don't lean in. You greet her like you would a stranger in your kingdom. Calm, unshaken, present. And in that instant, she knows something's changed. You're no longer hers. Not really. Not in the way she once assumed, because the man standing before her doesn't need her. And for the first time in her life, she's not sure she likes that. She tries to bring up the past. She prods for emotion. Do you still think about me, but your silence is not cold, it's sovereign? You look at her with the calm of a man who has nothing left to prove. And it's not arrogance, it's release. Because you've already bled, you've already burned, you've already sat in the fire of rejection and emerged steel. Now you speak only when it matters. And that restraint, that stillness, that's the most dangerous thing she's ever felt. You don't tell her about your growth, you show it. In how you wait longer before answering. In how your eyes don't dart when she says something provocative. In how you let her words hang in the air without rushing to fill the silence. Because now you understand a man who needs no reaction controls every interaction. And in that space, she begins to wonder not if you still care, but if she ever really had you. She remembers the old you. The one who overtexted, overthought, overexplained. The one who panicked at silence, who cracked under tension, who mistook emotional chaos for connection. But that man is gone. And what stands before her now is an absence so full it feels like presence, a silence so magnetic it pulls her in. Because now, you're the mystery. And mystery is irresistible. She tries to flirt, to reignite something. We had something real, didn't we? And you just smile. Not out of smugness, but out of truth. Because you did have something real, and you survived it. She's not expecting that answer. She's expecting hunger, yearning, that same old ache in your eyes, but it's not there. What's there now is peace. And for her, peace is disorienting because she only knew how to connect through chaos. And you've moved beyond that. You no longer react. You witness. And when you witness a woman instead of chasing her, she begins to unravel. She reaches out more, says your name more, tries harder, because now the balance has shifted. She feels it. The man who once chased her is gone, and in his place stands someone she cannot bend, someone she cannot predict, someone she must now pursue. But it's not a game. It's a law. The law of polarity. Masculine stillness calls feminine motion. And when you stop moving, she starts. She'll test you again. She has to. That's her instinct. She'll say something to poke. To see if the old you is still hiding in there. A joke. A criticism. a hint of jealousy, and when you don't bite, when you don't react, don't correct, don't collapse into explanation, that's when she feels it again. That drop in her stomach, that ache, that craving, that absence she can't name. Because the man who reacts is always predictable, and the predictable man is forgettable. But the man who holds stillness in the fire, he becomes unforgettable. Not because he's flashy, but because he's rare. And women don't chase noise. They chase what's missing, what's withheld, what's complete without them. And you've become complete. She doesn't understand why she can't stop thinking about you, why the silence keeps echoing, why the absence keeps returning. But you know why? It's because she's not used to losing gravity. And now you are gravity. Not clinging, not waiting, just existing, centered, rooted, silent. The man who doesn't chase because he doesn't need to. The man who doesn't speak because he's already heard enough. The man who doesn't flinch because he's already felt everything and chose stillness anyway. She will chase that every time.